welcome back to Opinion Outlaws, the ninth episode, where the only thing you cannot say is you cannot say that. We got
Let's
it right. We got it
go!
right. Yeah.
Let's go!
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's
So,
go!
all right. So,
Now it's good.
yeah,
Now it's
now,
not.
okay.
Oh, thank you for
Goodbye.
coming.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Bye
coming.
bye.
We will see.
No. So, anyways, this is Opinion Outlaws, and today is our ninth episode, and today we are going to discuss fear of success, right?
Yes.
And well, everyone, if you watched the last episode, we were talking about fear of failure. It's very self-explanatory. You fear failure, period. But now, fear of success, that's a bit more, in my opinion, it's much more interesting because nobody is like, oh my God, I'm gonna make it,
Yeah.
Nobody is gonna be like, oh, I hate it when I succeed.
Yeah.
But it's more about the consequences of it and how it turns out that why people are so afraid of success. And yeah, basically, we're just gonna discuss different aspects of it as well as we can and see where it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, so how do we define fear of success?
That's a good question.
Yes.
And this is how I look at things.
Yes.
And I define it as not the actual success that if you make it in whatever the case may be, you are not afraid of that, but you're afraid of the consequences it has from that.
Yeah.
That's how I define it.
What kind of consequences could you be more
Well,
specific?
if you make it, I'm gonna make an example for money, or you make it in physical fitness, or you make it with women. You actually are in that pedestal now where you have the power and control over that specific thing in such a way that you desire. Because I'm sorry that I'm talking about success is not measured by the metric of how much money did you make contrast to somebody else, but how much further you became in your goals,
Yeah.
whatever the case of them.
So the first thing before we talk about fair success, I guess it's important to make it clear that everyone defines what it means to succeed. Everyone has their subjective definition of it before.
Yes.
And because until you succeed at, yeah, sorry, having blackout, but yeah, like before we can really discuss what is success, everyone has their own views based on their own values, on their experiences, what it means to succeed. So that's very important to have in your mind before talking about any kinds of thing regarding it. But
Yeah. And then after you achieve, for example, let's say you achieve your goal was to make a business that generates 10,000 a month. That was your goal. But now the consequences of that is that people around you will look at you now as an asset. Will look at you now, automatically will look at you as an asset, or you're beneficial to him or her financially. Then all the other consequences is that now you have to take responsibility of that business. You have to take responsibility of that. If something happens, that 10K will be lost.
Yeah.
So, and of course, after that as well, if you make 10K a month, that's a lot of money. Many people don't know how to handle a lot of money. Like everybody, you will never hear somebody say, you know what, I don't want to make that much money.
Most of the time you won't hear that kind of thing.
Most of the time you won't hear it, and quite justly. But most of the time you won't hear that. Oh, I don't want to make that much money. I just want to make enough for my family, and that's it. You don't usually hear that. If you're given a chance, hey, here's to make 10K a month, would you do it? And most of the people that I know and most of the people that I've seen would say yes. But then when you do it, there's also consequences to that. And one of them is handling that big load of money. Where do you put it? How do you take it? Where do you take it? What do you do with it? Do you spend it? Do you earn it? What do you do with that money?
Yeah, so the problem comes when you start having more expectations than you had before you made it in whatever you wanted
Yeah.
to make it.
So how do you define the fear of success?
Hmm. Well, I define it. To me, I look at fear of success as a, how would I say it? It's kind of like subgenre of fear of failure, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because what I mean by this, because you said that there's that, you just yourself told that there's that kind of expectations that come to you.
Yeah.
What kind of expectations? By whom? By yourself? By other people? And why are you so concerned about those expectations? If you would know you would make it, you wouldn't be even concerned about it. So there is that uncertainty and that concern. Okay, am I gonna make it or am I gonna fuck it up?
Mm,
So in the end, if you would, there was no worry about being able to meet expectations, you wouldn't really have that kind of thing. So in my opinion, it's fear of failure meets social approval,
mm.
seeking approval.
And that combines the fear of success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we like we discussed right in the beginning, the problem comes when there are consequences. What kind of
Yeah.
consequences? For example, people start looking at you differently. Oh, he's making that amount of money. Oh, he's getting with the ladies. Oh, he's doing this and this and this and this. Before that, you had no concerns because nobody was putting any expectations on you. You were only person doing that, or you were not aware that you could have that situation where there are going to be people who have expectations. So maybe there was not, maybe you didn't even expect that you would get there, and now you're kind of dumbfounded by all the consequences,
Yeah.
and now all the insecurities start running.
Mm. So it has more to do with the fear of success. It has more to do with the fact that it is like a subpart, like you said,
Mm,
from a fear of failure.
mm, Isn't
Be-
it?
well,
Isn't it? In a way.
yeah, in a way, yes, because those when you succeed, you also then are expected
Mm,
some things,
mm,
right? If I took a example with money, but I can take it for physical fitness, for example.
mm,
If you make your body the way you want,
mm,
for a woman you want a good booty, a man want a big chest and shoulders,
mm,
and you make it. Now we know this even in all researchers and human beings that have told body dysmorphia, where they think that they either are not enough or
mm,
they don't have the assets that they need to have in order to be approved
mm.
in some way.
Oh yeah, so their body,
You get?
yeah.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying
Yeah,
with this.
yeah. If I may say, like it's kind of like your how would I say, your results don't align with your self-image.
Yeah. And I believe that many people know someone with body dysmorphia. And the dysmorphia, the thing with that is that it's not true. It's only in their head.
Mm,
And the worst part is that they are doing to it to themselves. I know, for example, in London, there was I don't remember the guy what his name was, but he had a bigorexia. It was the condition named bigorexia, where
mm,
he didn't feel that he was big enough.
mm.
Either though he worked out twice a day, he ate
Say
he ate 7 times a day, like healthy food. And it was sad to see a guy, a
mm,
good guy, like
mm,
actually a good guy. He went to work, he went to fitness. He doesn't enjoy
mm,
the life afterwards,
mm,
what it brings. Like, for example, just by the sheer fact that you are in a good condition
mm,
brings the confidence, brings the charisma.
mm.
Automatically, it
Yeah,
brings.
you're doing it all for that one thing, and when you have it, you're not happy.
Yeah,
You're not satisfied by it. You just want more. It's more of like an addiction in a way.
yeah. It is more like an addiction. And then there comes the fear of success that I talked about.
Mm,
So he has put that all that pressure to himself to look big.
mm,
And now he looks big. Of course, he hasn't taken any steroids. And Don't do it. Don't you ever do take roids for any goddamn reason.
Mm-mm. No.
And I'm gonna tell next why, but he hadn't taken anything. He was just natural guy, but he worked so much in his body that he looked actually very good,
Mm.
very fit.
Mm.
The problem with him was that he wasn't satisfied at all.
Mm.
He always tried to look bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And in his case, if he hadn't been public about it, I believe that in one case, on one way or another, he would take some roids because now he doesn't see an alternative anymore to be that guy.
Mm.
And it's sad to see that kind of way
Mm.
happens, and then sets that fear of success for if he has made that body. Now the expectation is that what about if he
Mm. So what if he loses it all?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's more like if we would now take a real look of the fear of success definition, it's more like fear of not being able to maintain the success you got.
Yes. And I'm gonna say it like this. What about if he gets sick?
Mm.
The
Yeah.
body, you cannot work out if you're sick. If
Mm.
you have a fever, if your throat is clogged up, if your nose are clogged up, if you cannot breathe well, your body is aching, you will not go to the gym. That's the last thing you'll think about.
Mm.
And then what happens?
Mm.
After 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, all of a sudden, you're not that big guy anymore.
Yeah. But let's take a little closer look. Like, okay, so let's assume this guy for some reason gets ill. He has an injury which will definitely limit
God
his
forbid.
abilities. God forbid, knock on food that that won't happen. But still, that happens. So now he feels shitty. But why? Why does he feel shitty? Why does he feel shitty? Like, let's go specifically to the reason why he might not feel good about
Mm,
himself. Because he has tied his self-esteem. This is my theory. He has tied his self-esteem to his physical appearance.
mm.
And he says, in a way, I am as worthy as a person as I appear to be
Yeah,
to outside people.
yeah,
It doesn't because if he would have that notion that hey, it doesn't matter what other people think about me as long as I look good to myself, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
But now he has kind of externalized the responsibility of his value. As long as people think I look good physically, I am good. But
yeah,
now because he's losing it. He's not losing it, but he's not. He's losing all that physical strength, stamina, all that things. Now he feels shitty about himself. And we know if you have ever gone to the gym, you know after some 2 weeks or 3 weeks, if you skip the gym, you will feel the difference.
of course. And don't get me wrong, you won't lose muscle in a month.
Yeah.
If you have actually worked for it, you
Mm,
haven't taken any roids,
mm,
you have actually gone to the gym,
mm,
lifted the goddamn weights, and come back, and you've done that for like long period.
mm,
Almost impossible to lose all that muscle
mm,
in 1 month,
mm,
especially if you just like walk and all that. If you're sick, then yeah, it's possible because
mm,
sickness also wears you out all your energy, all your
mm.
everything that you have.
Yeah.
But
And
let's say, I'm sorry to
okay.
interrupt, but let's say that illness doesn't stop in 1 month, but it goes on. Then it gets a real big problem because then
Mm,
all the muscle starts actually to lose itself because muscle, just like anything else, if you don't use it, you will lose it.
mm,
Like anything else, if you try to be sharp, you have to train yourself to be sharp over and over and over again.
mm.
But if you don't use that sharpness, then you will lose it.
Yeah.
Same thing as it goes with talking. That's why I'm good at talking because I do it
Mm,
all the time.
mm,
I train it all the time.
mm,
Now, it's not one day thing, but let's say that I don't talk after this for months. I don't talk to anyone. I'm just being with myself.
yeah.
I promise you, I come back to this mic
Yeah.
and I will not be able to speak
Mm,
like this
mm.
then.
Yeah, but this is actually something we have discussed in the beginning of this podcast that even though that there is the line, that it goes like when we start making progress, the line goes like this.
Yeah, yeah,
It starts going back and forth.
yeah.
And we discussed in that episode also that what usually doesn't go this way is usually our knowledge about things.
Yes.
So even if you would have that moment where you're not talking with a lot of people and you get back here and you start talking, you might be a bit awkward here and there, but
Yeah,
eventually you start to realize, oh yeah, this is the thing how it went earlier, and
that's
then you,
true. That's true. Well, that's why we say muscle memory.
yeah,
Let's now, let's say he has gone 3 months without one workout because he has been ill.
mm,
Now, after 3 months, he's been healthy now, and he gets back to the gym.
mm,
In about 1 week to 3 weeks, he's back in his
mm,
shape.
mm,
Why? Because our muscle has been worked for it to be that thing, to be big, for example, to have that strength.
mm. And the irony here is that he doesn't realize that he has worked for it for himself. So
Yeah,
what is the worst thing that, first thing that could happen here? Okay, yeah, he loses some muscle, then he will get it back.
exactly.
What is
The
so?
same thing. The
Yeah.
same thing is with what I'm doing now, talking. If I, like I said, 6 months, I don't talk to anyone. I'm just being by myself,
Mm.
and then I come back. The first time I will talk, yeah, it will be like and
Yes.
it's normal. But
Yeah.
then, time after time after time, in 2 or 3 podcast episodes, and I'm back.
Mm,
Why? Because like we said before, the progress can go like this. You can have more progress, you can have less progress, but the knowledge
mm,
cannot go like this. Why? Because knowledge will always accumulate. In a sense, maybe you are not, maybe you have rust,
mm.
but you still have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, the only way that knowledge like clears it out, if something happens to you, like for example, you get in a car crash or you have a heart attack or whatever, the something god forbidden thing
Mm,
happens where your memory is erased, then it's a different thing.
mm,
Like that's for those moments that what if, well,
mm.
those are what ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fear of success is unusual thing, I would say,
Mm.
because nobody talks about it that much, but
Mm.
maybe it is much as important as fear of failure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of overshadowed by fear of failure in a way
Yeah,
because fear of failure we everyone experience. Everyone is afraid of making mistakes because in our culture we are expected to do things as well as we can, and there are a lot of things that are maintaining that notion of you need to be perfect, you need to be good, and even the worst thing is that your performance has been tied to your self-image and
mm,
self-esteem, and that causing the issues. Okay, if I make mistakes, that means I'm a bad person,
yeah.
and that kind of also calls in why it is so well discussed because we have a serious self-esteem issue,
I would say
in my opinion.
it's not it's not the people itself, but that people have been conditioned to it.
Yeah,
And the reason is that when you go to school, you're conditioned to it.
yeah,
In the school, you're conditioned. And I have always said this, that the school is not the best place to learn about life, because school and life, as a teaching, they have two different type of teaching. The life will teach you very differently the way the school will teach you. The school, you will get the learning first. You will learn. Then you have a test, and then you see how you done. But in life, you will have a test first. And most of the cases, you will not pass that test
no.
because you are a human being and you don't know. So you will fail that test,
Mm,
but you will learn from it.
mm,
And there are only two ways to learn an actual lesson, the hard way and the harder way. So when life tests you in some regard, there is a hidden experience of opportunity in learning where you will fail if you haven't, especially if you haven't seen that or you haven't heard about that ever. You will fail regardless of how good you are, regardless of how tough you are. You will fail. But when you fail, now you will learn. And best believe it or not, the same testing will be happening again because life is just that kind.
mm,
But now this
yeah,
time, you know it coming, and you can
yeah,
dodge and slip and block and do all these things
yeah,
where the test, it will not even phase you. Now the
yeah,
next test come.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's really how would I put it? It's like, yeah, you have this situation where you fail, and it's very easy to get into that mindset where, oh, why are things happening to me? Everyone is trying to get me. They're trying to get me. Everything is after me. But there are probably 1 million or even billions of people thinking that same as well. So you're not alone in that struggle. So
Yeah,
that would I would assume that is somewhat comforting to some people in a way, and it is comforting because we are social creatures. We want to be connected to other people, and even remembering that could be a kind of way to start first handling it. Remember that you're not alone with that experience.
yeah,
And also thinking about how you approach failure or any kind of fear in general, that's also very important. Like, how
yeah,
familiar are you with that emotion itself?
yeah,
If you are approaching failure like, oh my God, this is horrible, I cannot handle it, oh my God, ah, you know, I cannot handle it, which is probably the thing that we are gonna use here the most often,
yeah.
then you're gonna fuck up.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the mistake is gonna happen, but what is really horrible about it is you are kind of you're mystifying it and you're putting it on a pedestal
Yeah,
and giving it more power than it needs to be given, and
yeah,
that makes it so unbearable.
yeah, yeah. It's a sad thing to see because I'm gonna be honest. The best people I know are the people that look life is a big test.
Mm,
In a good, in a bad, and an indifferent, they look at the life as if it's just a test.
mm,
Everything is a test. For what? For you.
mm,
What kind of person are you? What kind of character you have?
mm,
Do you follow the good path? Do you follow the bad path?
mm,
Everything.
mm,
The best people I know,
mm,
they look at life as like that.
mm,
Now, don't get me wrong. Do they people have emotions? For sure they do. Do they get sad, angry, negative? For sure, because they are human beings.
mm,
But those human beings, even when they get sad, even when they get negative, even when they get angry, they look at the situation and go, well, it's a test.
mm,
The best people I know. Now, personally, I would say that if something bad happens to me, for example, no, well, this is not a bad thing. Good example, actually. We did a podcast
mm,
and we have done the podcast and I have posted TikToks. And those TikToks, sometimes some idiots, well, idiots and idiots,
mm.
come in your TikTok feed. And everybody knows this.
Yeah.
Somebody has something to say about your knowledge or your vocabulary or your way of speaking or whatever the case may be. Somebody always has something to say.
Yes.
And that's,
Everyone is entitled to their opinion.
well,
My God. Yeah, you were saying.
really, they have entitled to opinion.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Great for them.
Wait for them. Anyways.
Uh, anyways, because of the fact that if I would look at it as a bad thing, then it would be sad for me, it would negative for me. But I know for a fact that if you make negative comments on our section, my bad, in our section, if you make negative comments, that makes me believe that okay, we are doing something right.
Mm,
Because if we can't divide people, then we are being real about the
yeah.
intentions that we are doing.
Yeah.
So this example that I gave you is that I took a situation that was maybe initially bad. For
Mm,
someone, maybe it would be bad. They have a bad self-esteem or they care that much. And I'd looked at it from a different perspective where I would go, okay, that's actually not bad.
mm,
That's actually good.
mm,
And the same thing goes for so many things. Now, I get, for example, when somebody says that how would you look at a good thing in a person who is dying
mm.
or in a person who is homeless
Yeah.
or these situation.
Yeah, those are relevant questions even.
And these are actually good questions. And I would always say that if person, for example, is dead, then there's a reason why was he or she died at that particular
Mm.
moment.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. Maybe because they don't have a purpose in this life anymore.
Mm.
They have done their duties in this life.
Mm.
They have they are not for this world. I have these kind of situations where I have met a beautiful, wonderful human being, 7-year-old.
Mm.
7-year-old, you could see the light in her eyes, but afterwards you hear that she died.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
And then you start to question, well, why did she leave? Well, maybe because she's not for this world.
Mm.
Because you cannot be so arrogant that you actually believe that death is the final stop.
Mm.
It's like saying that energy will stop. No, the energy doesn't stop. We all know this.
Mm.
Physics have told and proven to us that energy always transforms.
Mm.
Death as well is the same thing. Homeless, well, the good thing about being homeless, which are not many, but the good thing about being homeless is that you have nothing to lose. Absolutely and
Mm.
utterly nothing to lose in your life.
Mm.
So therefore, even if you try everything, you will not lose.
Mm.
So it's hard for me to go in a place where I would be a homeless guy because I have never been a homeless man.
Mm.
I cannot give advice to a homeless man.
Yeah.
I can give you some tips like how I would do it,
Mm.
but I cannot give advice. I cannot
Mm.
get life lessons to a homeless man or a man who is dying
Yeah.
because I have not been there. I don't know what it's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it's yeah. We could around start listing. Okay, here's what you could do as well. But because as you said, we have never been homeless, so it would be very inconsiderate to say, "Hey, do this." We can
Exactly. Think about it.
no.
The homeless man, he watching. I don't think he can watch this, but
Mm,
think about if he can watch this, he would look at us and say, "Well, what a bunch of assholes."
mm, no, no, we have no clue
Honest.
about homeless peoples, but we're always happy to hear. Like, if there is a homeless person watching this, like, we are curious to hear your thoughts about this. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be actually interesting conversation because I know I have met homeless people who are actually very smart.
Mm.
Not maybe in physics or chemics, but I've seen human being who is homeless. He doesn't have a home,
Mm.
but he's very smart.
Yeah.
Like when you talk to him, you can talk with him for so many subjects and communicate with them better than some of these guys who are
Mm.
in a working
Yeah.
working place or whatever the
Yeah, and we have to
place.
remember that not all homeless people are like from the start
Yes,
homeless.
yes,
It's not like
that's also true.
they were born in the streets and raised in the streets. Like, oh, I've been always homeless. There are some people who run out of money. They are kicked out because money issues, credit issues, and those
Yeah,
kind of things, and that's why they end up homeless or
yeah.
something else. Shit hit the fan, whatever, and then they
Something
ended there.
happened.
Yeah, something happened. So we also, yeah, some people are dumb, some people are not, but it has usually nothing to do with your homelessness.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, it has nothing to do with your homelessness, and I always, I always try to consider the fact that there are homeless human beings on this planet, don't have a home, don't have a shelter, and I always try to put myself in their position
Mm,
because what is this life all about? Now, I'm gonna
mm,
give you a life lesson. What is it all about? It's about you coming on this life, bringing joy, happiness, and good things in this life, and then to go out of this life.
mm,
That is the whole point of human being.
mm,
And we always hear that money doesn't buy happiness. Well,
mm.
so and so, so and so,
It
because
depends.
yeah, it depends. Because if my mother, God forbid, has cancer and I have the money to cure her,
Mm.
does that make me happy?
You shallow people.
I'm,
Like, yeah.
I'm being honest now. That would make me so happy.
Mm.
And I wouldn't, I cannot imagine that somebody says, no,
How
that would,
dare you use your money
yeah,
for your mother? How shallow can you be?
I cannot imagine that somebody would say it like that.
Like the only reason why people are called shallow because well there are a lot of misconceptions about rich people first off, but one thing I think why people think rich people are shallow is usually because some people are there just for the money,
Yeah,
and that's I guess that's because lack of values, lack of understanding your values, lack of self-awareness about things.
yeah,
And then there comes a problem because they have attached their identity to some things they have, like a yacht or
yeah,
women or some luxury house, that kind of thing. And that's where people start calling them a shadow because they are in a
yeah,
way because they haven't taken a deep dive into their subconscious.
yeah. And I'm gonna give you actually a story about this. I've read this story in a book, 4 hours week, 4 4 hour work week
Mm,
by Tim Ferriss,
mm, mm,
if I remember correctly. And the whole point of that book was to open your eyes and make you actually believe that you can live your life with only a 4 hour work week. And it's a great book. And I suggest that people read it because maybe you don't, maybe you understand many things, but there are some things that you will learn in that book. But I read there a story about this kind of tech. Uh, it was, if I don't remember correctly, it was a doctor who also sold these medicinal technology, all these for hospitals and these healthcare places. So he was making a lot of money. But the problem was that he was overworked all the time.
mm,
He didn't have time for family. He didn't have time for friends. He didn't even have time for his wife. So that's why his wife left him because he wasn't doing anything for his wife. What are you doing? Just working, 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 and you don't take care of her? That's bad.
mm,
So one day he was like, you know what? F it, I don't care. And he went to Mexico to some free time.
mm,
And in Mexico, there was a little coast over there that no many people went there, and because it was place where you had to have money to go there, so
mm,
therefore many people didn't go there. And he went there and he met one of the locals who was fishing, and he was fishing. He took, I would say, a good amount of fish, and he was going home. And this guy saw this and was like, "Man, you fish actually great." And the Mexican went like, "Yeah, thank you." And he asked, "Have you considered like opening a business?" He was like, "Nah, that's not for me." Mexican guy. So he started to pressure the Mexican guy that you should open a business and you should do this and you should that. And then the Mexican guy knew where it would go, so so he would ask, "Why would I do that?" And then this guy started to explain, "Well, because you would get a lot of money from it." And then the Mexican guy go, "Well, what then?" "Well, after that, you could, with that money, invest and open up in America something for fishing." And Mexican guy go, "Oh, then what, senor?" "Then you would make a bunch of money and would make a great enterprise." "And then what, senor?" "And then you could go fish in the morning and afternoon you would spend time with your family." And the Mexican guy goes, "Well, senor, I'm doing that right now. I go fish in the morning. I get enough fish for me and my family.
mm,
I go home. We fry the fish. We eat. We have a good time."
mm. What did this man say to that?
He was like, if I remember correctly, I don't remember the ending, but I remember this what the Mexican guy said. But I remember that. Well, yeah, you're right. It was something like that.
Oh well, I guess that well,
So the point of the story is that even if you make a lot of money, it doesn't mean that you know how to enjoy life.
Mm.
And fear of success, I would believe, comes a big role to it as well, because fear of success doesn't come by alone. It has fear of failure, right? And fear of failure doesn't come alone. It has
Mm.
other things attached to
Yeah,
it. But I told you this story. What's your takeaway from this?
less is more.
Less is more.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
pretty
interesting.
simple because you said this Mexican guy well, he was living in Mexico. He was with his family. He got to fishing and spent the rest of the evening, rest of the day with his family. He didn't have that much money, but he didn't care
Yeah,
because he had the things he wanted. He lived pretty simple life,
yeah,
and that's why I say less is more
yeah,
because it's pretty simple. If you have all that you need, why would you go after a lot of money? It's not like I'm not saying that like everyone should go that way, but if you find if you find yourself living the life you want to live, there's no reason to go after a lot of money.
yep,
If he would see it fit in his life to go after more money because that would help his family in a way that then it would make sense more for him to go after bigger money. But now, because he has the things he wants, why would he go after more money?
mm,
But that's the sad thing. Some people don't even know what they're doing. Why are they going after a lot of money? They just
mhm,
figure, oh, well, I will be enough once I have enough money, even though they don't realize that money is just external thing. It's just a
yeah,
distraction.
yeah,
It's usually just a distraction from attachment, which really comes from unresolved grief and suffering in the end.
yeah. And listen, everybody has different types of mm, motives of why they want that much money,
Mm,
why they want that much money. And usually those reasons, what people give, they are, like you said, external.
mm,
And it's very hard to you pinpoint and say, okay, this is the actual reason why you want that much money.
mm,
But then you meet those guys, usually guys, but you meet those guys, girls also, where you ask them and they give you a good explanation, and actually a great explanation, an argument that the reason why you want that money so much and you want so much money is because of X, Y, and Z. It can be, like I said, different people, different motivations, different motives.
yeah.
For some, the reason is that they want their parents to be retired and they don't have to think about money anymore, ever.
Mm,
And that's actually good and honorable and respectable. And I highly commend you if you actually do that and you actually succeed in that, that you will pay your parents' debt and you will take care of your parents. I will be the first one to congratulate you on that part because not that I have the perfect parents, don't get me wrong. They are humans, human as well. But I believe that our parents, if you are a parent, you don't have to be a good parent, you don't have to be a bad parent, but as a parent, you sacrifice so much to give to your children.
mm,
And now, as a children, especially as a man, you have an obligation towards your parent to take care. Like, I don't know how many people have watched the podcast with Bucket.
mm, yeah.
I don't remember if you know, but he is the same age as us, but he's taking care of his mother and
Mm,
his family. So you get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like like his mother works, don't get me wrong, but he goes also to work and he also is studying at the same time. So for example, I commend him so
Mm,
much and I respect
mm.
that for that.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
And I that's a one, for example, one motive that I can respect. And I can actually say and agree, and I can even be similar to it
Yeah,
because I want my parents as well to be retired
yeah,
and to do what they want.
yeah. Like it's really not about like okay, you have more money, you have more shallow you are. No, it's not like that. It's more like okay, if you are using money for the sake of getting more money, and using that money for more money, then
Yeah,
maybe we can say that you're a bit shallow. But hey,
yeah,
the real thing is that how you use your money really tells a lot about your standards
of course,
and your values, and
of course.
that's why we comment on people who are supporting and providing for their parents,
Yeah.
because that is a value-based decision, not just oh I want money because I want some beaches around me and I
No,
can play.
bitches.
You know, you know, I want some Lamborghinis, I want some Lotuses, a lot of money so that I can swim in a pool of,
And that's
you know,
okay if you want that.
yeah, yeah, but yeah,
But we respect more human being
yeah.
who take care of their parents. Now, can it be both?
Well,
Yeah,
really, you can swim in the sea of dollars and then you can
yeah,
want to provide for your family, but
yeah. Like if you make tons of money all the time,
you
like
can,
let's say you're making 10 million a month.
yeah.
I believe that you can have both because you can take care of your parents regardless of how much you spend with the bitches and yacht and all
But
this.
would you, would I don't see that scenario because to me, how it appears if you have lots of women would like, and I don't know, like to me that sounds a bit contradictory.
It depends.
It
I
depends because
I believe that
it's,
even parents understand that if you're that kind of guy who likes to go with the women
mm,
and who likes to have a yacht and full bunch of women in the yacht,
mm,
but then you also take care of your parents,
mm.
I can see that
Well,
possibility.
then comes in the question, what is his motive? Is it more about giving love or taking love? Because that to me
Yeah,
that sounds that kind of scenario to me. I cannot say that this is true for all cases, but to me it sounds like he's just doing out of duty. Maybe he's not fully in touch with his values. It's more about he's trying to promote that kind of oh I'm living an awesome lifestyle. To me, the first thought that comes to my mind is
yeah,
more about look at me, I'm doing great. I have this yacht, I have this house, I have this women, rather than hey I don't care if I have all these things as long as I can provide for my family.
yeah.
To me, that sounds very unlikely, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Prove me
Well,
wrong.
all I'm saying is it's not impossible, right?
It's not impossible, but to me,
And
it sounds very
it's
unlikely.
yeah, and it's very doable. Like I could
Yeah.
see myself doing it
Mm.
because let's be honest, if and when I make a tons of money, I'm gonna do all that thing. I'm gonna be honest. I will not even
Yeah.
debate like, no, I won't do it. Yes, I will do it because I will have every fruit that life has to give.
Yeah.
But also, I will look at it as okay. But if I lose it all tomorrow,
Mm.
it doesn't mean jack to me
Mm. Yeah.
because I still have a brother with me. I
Mm.
still have friends with me. I still have my parents if they are alive. Like I still have these things that are very important to me.
Yeah.
Money, that's why I have told you even this before. I respect my father so much because he grew me and my brother in such an environment where money was never scarce.
Mm.
We never knew how much money he had.
Mm.
So when we grew up in that, me and my brother looked at this like money is everywhere. And
Mm.
there's everywhere. Like it will not be a day where somebody would say we don't have money
Mm.
enough. Like it's not enough for you and me, it's only for me.
Mm.
We will not have a
Mm.
day.
Yeah, there has been that abundance in a way.
Yeah. And because we have raised in that, I have never seen a money in a bad way, or
Mm.
have never seen a money in a way where I would
Yeah.
say, "Man, I don't have that money."
God, I
N-
hate those people with money.
Yeah,
You know?
never. No.
Yeah, like it's just a weird thing to think like, oh, they have so much money, they must be evil.
And
They must have horns on their head and they must be worshiping the Satan and
good that you
you know,
said that.
yeah.
Even in movies,
Mm.
even in superhero movies,
Mm.
have you seen, for example, Spider-Man,
Mm.
Superman, Flash, all
Mm.
like Green Lantern? Nobody has millions and millions and millions of dollars
Mm.
in their bank account.
Most likely, if there is someone who has a lot of money, how does he appear?
Batman,
Mm.
does he look like a man who is doing good? Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing the vigilante thing. He's trying to like control the crime,
Mm.
but is he a superhero? Yeah, he's a superhero and he's my favorite. Don't
Mm.
get me wrong,
Oh yeah.
but he's portrayed as what? Very lonely, playboy, emotionally not mature, like so many
Mm-hmm.
things. He's stressed out. He's like he has all these things very badly,
Mm.
and he's an evil man because he has a lot of money.
Mm.
Lex Luthor,
Mm.
the Superman's arch nemesis,
Mm.
billions and billions and billions of dollars, a bad man. The same thing goes for everything that you see in the
Mm.
movies.
Yeah.
They are portrayed the millionaires or the guys who have a tons of money as a
Mm.
bad human beings.
Mm.
And I would say it goes as the same as with everywhere else.
Mm.
The only problem is that if a billionaire is a bad human being, there are so many people who are affected by it
Mm.
because he has that much money and because of that he has so much power.
Mm.
But if somebody in a working class is being a bad human being, there are not a lot of human there are not a lot who will be affected by it.
Mm.
So that's why maybe people get that. I would say that the rich people are bad.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah. The only thing is that, well, God bless for them. Hopefully, they won't have fear of success. That would suck. That would suck.
oh man, oh man,
Well,
yeah. But yeah, fear of success.
yeah.
I'm gonna give you even one story. It's a short one, but it's a story about fear of success about from somebody else's success.
Mm.
So he's afraid of somebody else's success.
Mm.
There was an old town, and in that old town is a kingdom, the castle there, and there was a big crowd, and the king was over there. And in the crowd, there was a young boy who shouted that I will be king one day. And everybody started to laugh. Everybody, except the king.
Mm.
So, what's the moral of the story? The king has been that young boy one in one part of his life. He has been that young boy and he has said that I will be king one day.
Mm.
So the king is now afraid of the boy's success. But
Okay.
this is a story like this very short story, but there are plenty of story where you go to the organization and the guy is very good at his job and people start to be afraid because of his competence
Mm.
about his job.
Mm.
It has even even now it has for me it has been reality about this
Mm.
because I can do the job so fast and so well with high quality and they are afraid that I would overlap them in either way. Why? Because who else who else would overlap them?
Mm.
And they will be retired at some point. They will die at some point. Who will take their place?
Mm.
So that's been also an interesting part of my life and interesting part of many lives that you are afraid of somebody's success. But but
Mm. But like the question is, how is it away from your success? Like that's the thing. Like as if there were a limited amount of success. Oh, he's taking that amount of success. I cannot afford having that same amount of success. Like what? How is someone's success away? Like as if uh it was as if like you see what I mean? Like in a way,
I got you.
so
So
you
how
succeed.
yeah,
If you succeed, how is it gonna be away from taken away from him? Like, oh, I cannot have now. I'm having less opportunities to succeed. Like what? What the alternative would be that he would come to you and ask, "Hey, how did you do it?
yeah,
What did you do?" Then he would surround her himself with you, herself with you, ask questions, maybe you know ask, okay, what did you do? Okay, where did you go? What was your philosophy?
yeah,
And those kind of things, asking questions and reflecting about them, and finding opportunities where he would learn the same things and get the experience you have,
yeah. Have you
versus then just complaining and bitching about, oh my God, how did you do it? He doesn't
have you
deserve it. he must be evil guy. He must be just if you thinking he's better than us, most likely well
Most likely, yeah.
yeah, most likely yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing because if they think oh he must be must think he's superior, they are in the way of putting you on the pedestal.
Interesting. First off, I want to ask, have you ever asked help or guidance from a guy or a girl who are in the position that you want to be?
Well, definitely, I have done
Yeah.
it.
Then I have another question,
Mm,
follow-up question. Have they helped you?
yeah.
I have never heard that the one who is in your position that you want to be
Mm,
somewhere
mm,
and you ask them for help. I have never heard that they haven't don't want to help you.
mm,
I've never heard of that. And maybe it's because they have already made it,
mm,
their ego is not that big
mm,
in a sense that it overlaps. I will not tell you.
yeah.
So if you want to, but then of course, don't get me wrong. If you go and ask them for help and guidance, don't waste their time.
Mm,
Do actually something
yeah.
about it. Don't go and just, hey, I want to help this and this. Okay, this is what you do. This you can do. This you can do this. And 3 months later, you meet that guy and you'll be like, well, you haven't done shit.
Mm,
What the hell?
mm.
What the hell?
I used 30 minutes for you, man.
What the hell?
The fuck?
Nobody wants to help
Yeah.
one who is not trying to help themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Remember that.
mm, that's very important. And sometimes people can take that for credit. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that. I will do that. And then they're like, okay, that was interesting. And then they just go carry on.
Yeah,
And that's actually what we talked about earlier in the episode. That this is the intellectual in anyways mental masturbation.
yeah,
So mental masturbation where you basically have a situation, you have a problem, you try to solve it, and then you read book. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, that's really interesting. Without doing really anything about it,
yeah,
and that comes from laziness. One scenario, it comes from laziness, and as you said yourself, it comes from fear.
yeah.
And I can actually testify to it because I had some time ago a bit of resistance doing certain thing I was focusing on, and when I really started
Mm,
digging deeper into it, I started to realize there was that kind of, in a way, the other fear
okay.
of lacking, fear of not being enough for that, and that usually that comes from sadness.
All
But
right.
like those kind of things, when you dig deeper into those emotions and you realize, hey, I'm able to handle those things, I'm able to handle those emotions, then you realize that hey, the obstacle is just an obstacle. It might take a while, but hey, as long as I handle this emotion, what is there really that I cannot handle?
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. That the laziness was connected to fear that was connected to sadness.
Yeah,
That
fear.
it it is interesting to hear that.
Yeah, and most likely I would say even like more of like fear, but even more of sadness because
Yeah.
there's a kind of thing. Oh, I might as well not do anything because it's not gonna matter. That's
Could you give us, if you want to, of course,
yeah.
could you give us like the actual hands-on experience, what it was like for you? And then would you give some advice? What would you do if you have a similar situation?
So mm, so where would I start? So let's take an example of well, me and you both have done our thesis. I can tell you that few weeks or yeah, actually a few weeks back, I was really struggling to get back on track with it.
Mm,
I have some personal issues which I'm not gonna go that much in detail here for now. But anyways, I was going through a lot of strong emotions,
mhm.
and they were in a way clouding my judgment. I was following in those emotions. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. Oh, I don't feel like doing it. But
Okay.
when I started doing this very simple thing as of like writing down, okay, this is what I feel, describing how it feels. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. What am I thinking? What is this emotion leading me to do? What is this emotion leading me to say? And those kind of things. Even if I wouldn't come up with the answer for it, I started having that, when you write those things down, you put it on the paper.
Mm,
And what it does usually, it exposes those thoughts.
mm,
They are open for the world to read. And therefore, that kind of releases shame around it. Because sometimes when we experience something with emotions, there might be fear of guilt or guilt
mm,
around that emotion. That usually stops us from facing that emotion. And now you write it down. You maybe even read it through or burn it if you wanna. And those kind of things, I think those things started to kind of release those emotions, those heavy emotions I was experiencing. And eventually I started realizing, hey, I'm doing actually much better with my goals. And from like as a starting point, at best I was like studying 1 hour and 30 minutes,
Well,
at max 2 hours. But hey, now this week I've been doing 4 hours or even closing to 5 hours work for my thesis. So
that's actually good.
yeah, and I can definitely, based on my experience, I can testify to the fact that the better you come at identifying emotions and handling them and being okay with them,
Mm.
your performance will accelerate. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it answered because
Yeah,
you mm, I asked the experience that you had, the
yeah,
situation, and
mm.
then advice. What would you do in that?
Yeah. I will start from like very simple thing because sometimes we can get very overwhelmed by our emotions, especially when they are those kind of emotions we have a history of avoiding. We have a more history of running away by distractions, whether it is porn,
Mm.
cigarettes, or something else. So
Yeah.
that's why it's really important, not just, uh, okay, start with observing them, but also maybe thinking back, why am I so resistant towards this emotion? Because
Mm.
what keeps an emotion going is actually the resistance toward the emotion itself.
Yep.
And that's what, because you are like, oh, I don't like this emotion. I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Why do you hate it? What makes you hate it? What is the worst thing about it? Does it remind you of something? For example, rejection.
Mm. Why you hate that
Why
much?
do you hate it so much? Because, well, you were rejected. It was simple.
Yeah.
What was that so horrible about rejection? I could name a few examples why I faced a lot of resistance around rejection.
Mm.
So, but anyways, like the point is that when you go to that emotion, just go as deep as you can and see where it goes. Because the more you spend time with that emotion, it doesn't matter even if you don't come up with the solution. What really matters is you are with that emotion.
Mm.
You let it stay and get familiar with it.
Yeah.
And then you realize, hey, it's not gonna kill me.
Yeah. I hope not.
Hopefully. Only
Hopefully.
reason you will die because of emotion because you decide to do something about it and that's committing suicide.
Yeah.
That's the only way. Or
Don't do it.
and the other option is, of course, if you're really old, and you have to be really old, I think. But stress, of course, when it's prolonged, it can lead to higher blood pressure. Blood
Yeah.
pressure. But that's the thing. Even stress is combination of multiple other emotions,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's a bit different. But anyways, I would say that start with emotional, is observing emotions, even writing them down, pen and paper, and reflection about the
Yeah.
emotion. That's the thing.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And that's actually uh, many successful people, whether it's in interaction, talking, business, social life with ladies, they have done the same thing.
Mm.
They have taken a piece of paper and wrote it down. I would what it was like 300 goals
Mm.
that they want to
Oh yeah.
achieve in their life,
Mm.
and they have just write it down like basic stuff from very complex stuff.
Mm.
I want to go here,
Mm.
very basic.
Mm.
I want to achieve this kind of physique,
Yeah.
like from very basic to very complex. That I want to be an astronaut in NASA,
Yeah.
and when you write those down, but I'm just taking an example of this, but we can take many
Oh
examples
yeah. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it comes to like
Yeah.
writing down. It gives a different. Something happens at that moment when you have wrote something down. Something happens at that moment. Maybe because now you have written and you can see that in a
Yeah.
physical form.
Yeah.
It's not in your head
Mm.
anymore. So therefore, it gives you much power. To you give
Yeah.
you get that power
Yes.
from that,
Yes.
or maybe because you have manifesting it and now God even wants to say, okay, he has wrote it down.
Well,
Maybe something
incredible.
happens where when you write stuff down, it shifts. Something happens.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it happens, but I know that something
mm,
happens which
mm.
pushes you to go forward.
Here's my guess about it. I think first of all, because we are so accustomed to making notes with our phones, with our laptop, or any other device, it's just mundane to write it down on, you know.
Yeah.
But when we take pen and paper, really a relic, remainder from the 90s and the early 2000s, now it's a bit different because this is something that we don't usually do. It tells our subconscious this is something important since we are using pen and paper.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
things. And now the second thing is you are writing it down. You tell yourself this is so important that I need to write it down.
yeah,
And that's what really makes a change. Okay, so because I write it down, why did I write it down? Because it seems it's very important.
yeah,
And therefore, it's not just some other thought. We have a lot of thoughts. We have funny thoughts, we have sad thoughts, we have weird thoughts,
yeah,
and like those kind of thoughts when well, not a bit digressing here, but sometimes we have those very random thoughts of doing something really inappropriate in
yeah.
the situations, and
Let me
God
smack.
knows where it comes from, you know.
Let me smack that girl's butt. Wait a
You
second.
know
No, I don't know
exactly,
her. I don't know her.
exactly. So, but we don't do them. But
Of course not,
what
dude.
we don't know what will happen. We will write down. Tomorrow I will slap that woman's ass. Would that happen? We don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know. But you might need to write it. You might need to write it down and see where it goes. But please
Yep.
don't do it. Please don't do
No,
it. Don't do it.
but
Don't do it.
actually,
We are not gonna promote harassing here, okay?
no, don't you?
Unless it's your girlfriend, boyfriend, and you know he's gonna like it.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
different thing. But we are not promoting any
No, no,
harassing,
no,
okay?
no, 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 no. Don't do it. Don't actually do it.
Don't actually do it.
And
No,
don't actually
no.
write. Don't be that stupid. Don't write like, yeah, today I was thinking, I would
How
smack the
dumb
butt.
have you been? How stupid you have to be in order to be like, I have this random thought about slapping that woman's butt. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I know there is gonna be that woman at the counter, and when I go to her, I'm gonna slap that woman's ass.
Actually, but if you want to, if you want that girl, write it down.
Mm,
Write it down.
That's a different thing. That's
You get what I'm
different.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I want to smack that girl's butt. Well,
At some point.
at some point,
Yeah,
yeah,
that could be a goal.
that can be written, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to slap that woman's butt, and I want that woman to like it at some point.
Yeah. Well, most of the woman likes it
Yeah,
because
but
it has that.
be specific when you want to slap that woman's
Yeah.
butt as well.
Yeah. Don't.
We did like
Yeah.
really.
It's a dominance thing
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
slap the butt.
yeah, yeah.
But all this to say, it's it's like when you write it down and you shine it, and now it loses its power. It's
Mm,
something like that.
mm,
But I will say that I would say it like this: if you want to have the clarity in your life, like you had, write those things down. If something is bothering you, or the David Goggins has even different type of solution. He records those thoughts and then he plays them again
mm,
to himself. And even he had one video, I have saved it in my phone,
mm,
where he had that, where he would wake up, but every time he would look at the shoes and didn't want to go in the run.
mm,
And he said, I started to record myself that voice. And when I listened to it, it sounded like a bitch. Like the way he says it, I
mm,
cannot say it.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and even it was, in a way, it was funny, but in a way, it was very smart because you took that thought out of your head, you put it in the microphone, you
mm,
put it in your phone or
mm,
in a recorder, whatever, and you listen to it, and then you say, "Man, what the hell? That's not me." The same thing goes, for example, when you write that down, and it loses the power
mm,
over you. And
mm,
like you said, maybe it has to do with the fact that when you write it down or you expose it, it it has that meaning that okay, this is
mm.
important. Or maybe it has to do with the fact that because it becomes out of your head, now it has different perspective.
Yeah, and even with that, like, when you write it down, your mind has been fixated on it, and your reticular activating system, this thing that is basically managing our observations about the environment. It basically takes the knowledge. Okay, you write it down. Okay, so I might as well start looking at evidence from the environment that is gonna help me to achieve that goal.
Yeah,
As just shortly, radical activism is basically when you hear your name. Right, that's the
yeah,
reason why you are gonna be. Oh,
yeah,
someone said my name. You know,
yeah,
that's what the reason why you hear it, because that thing is going on
yeah,
in the background. But anyway, so I think that also, and then if you have that, you have put a lot of importance to it, and your mind starts seeking evidence for you. Eventually, you're more prone to start taking action with that goal.
yeah. And it will happen.
Yeah,
It will happen. However, I would say that we have covered not just the fear of success, but
yeah,
many things. But
yeah.
the culmination to it is that fear of success.
Yeah. So now we kind of discussed a few things earlier. In the previous episode, when we were talking about fear of failure, we were talking about how to kind of learn to be with the fear of success and how to learn to manage it. Kind of similar things to this, but do you think there is any different things that people could do in order to face their fear of success? Because it is there's a different tone to it.
Yeah, it has a different tone to it. I would say it like this: that the r- you have a reason why you want to succeed. You have a reason why, and you have that reason. You want to succeed. You do the job. You trust in God. Then you will succeed.
Mm,
That is God given.
mm,
That's how it works. That's how it always has been.
yeah.
Now you know the reason why you want to succeed, and it has to be maybe it can be a trivial reason. For example, I want to prove people wrong.
Mm.
It is a good thing that you want to prove dumb people wrong about the things that you can achieve,
Or your bullies.
or your bullies. Yeah, like that's actually not a bad thing. But the trivial part is that when you're trying to show off
Mm,
the success part in
mm,
a way. Now, the best revenge is success when it comes to like bullies
mm,
and dumb people who have mistreated you.
mm,
However, I would say that the reason why you want to succeed is the first place why you want to do it. And if you are afraid to succeed, then I don't believe that you can succeed.
mm,
I don't believe that because if you have fear in your heart, you cannot succeed. Any world champion you can take when they are fighting in the ring and look them in the eyes, and you can't see even the slightest of doubt
mm,
in their eyes because they are so confident and they are so sure of themselves that I am the best or better than him.
mm.
And the same thing goes for success. That's the thing. And of course, I have said this in fear of failure. I have said this before, even before that, that even if you don't succeed, first of all, it's impossible to succeed if you try your actually best and you trust God. But let's say for some reason you don't succeed in that particular thing. The world doesn't end. The world
Mm,
still keeps going.
mm,
The people still keeps living. The thing still keeps moving. So therefore, even if you succeed and you are afraid of it, the worst thing that can happen is everything that you have will fall down and you will have
mm,
clean slate to either start beginning
mm.
or don't start at all, or
Yes.
like there is there is nothing detrimental that can happen to you if you have that. And I'm talking about just normal circumstances. I'm not talking about if you have sickness or you have health issues or you have I don't know what else. Like health is usually the thing that I look at is like okay, that's actually a big issue.
Mm.
I would say it like that.
Yeah, those are pretty solid points there. And I just want to comment on the latest one. Like you said, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen? That reminded me of this book. I don't know if you're familiar with the book called A Guide to Rational Living.
No.
It's a book by Albert Ellis and Robert A. Harper. It is a really great book. It's a RABT genre therapy,
Okay.
rational emotive behavior therapy, and they teach you how to kind of be with emotions. There in that book, there are lots of examples about how to face fear of failure, how to face fear of disapproval, and get over different kind of the most basic fears of people.
Yeah.
How to control your emotional destiny, blah blah blah, those kind of things. And that book actually, there's a section. I have that book actually myself, and there's the section where they actually teach you how to get started with rational thinking. And
Mm,
few of the questions are actually that, hey, what is the first thing that can happen?
mm,
And another really great question there is actually, what is the best thing that can happen to you when you don't get the things you want?
mm.
Right. So you turn it upside down. Okay, so if I don't get this, I might bring more space for that other thing as well. So
Yeah.
you never know.
You never know.
Mistake, the most horrible thing that can happen can have an upside
Yeah.
in many ways. So that book gives you really specific advice how to start questioning those fears you
Yeah.
have. That's one thing. I would say that rational thinking, practice that as much. And one of the ways to actually get started with it to improve your thinking also is to get familiar with your emotions.
Yeah.
That's my advice about it.
Yeah. And physically fit.
Yeah.
Like, uh, th- there's a saying that goes strong mind, strong body,
There.
healthy mind, healthy
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
You cannot separate them two.
Yeah.
And it has been even studied that
Mm,
if people get fat, their neurological places will get different. They
mm,
have
yeah.
effect on it.
Yeah.
Like if physically, you can see that your brain is not in the same place as it was before, on
Mm,
the same way if you get unhealthy.
mm,
So
yeah.
all that to consider these things. But yeah, I would say it like that.
Yeah. And as a last thing, comment in down comment section down below. I will do it again. Comment in the comment section down below and give us some questions to reflect upon. On we will maybe possibly give an answer video or whatever.
Yeah,
Usually,
yeah, we are open always for discussion, and not because okay, I will not discuss you with flat Earth theory.
yeah,
I don't have that
bring it.
that kind of interest. But if you have, for example, a mental thing, if you have for a money thing, if you have for a success thing, if you have anything that you want for a girl, a woman thing, that's a big part in young man's life. Ask us questions, and believe it or not, we will answer them.
Mm,
If
we
you
will.
if you have, if you don't have, if you just want to comment, if we want to bash, bring them too.
Yes,
We are not afraid.
yes. And if you're gonna hate,
Do it correctly, bro.
yeah, hey, if you hate, be accurate about it. Be
Do it
accurate.
correctly, bro.
Hate accurately. Don't be like that. Oh, you watch our video and then you say, "Oh, so bad English. Please stop."
That was actually funny.
That's like that was actually funny, but please, at the same time, it's amusing, but
No,
also a bit like what the
yeah, that no, that was actually funny.
funny. That was funny, and that's why they took our camera away.
Yeah, true, true.
They heard the rumor. They heard the rumor that they speak so bad English, so they took the camera away. Come on, man. I
The
first I thought they got pissed because our opinions, but hey, actually it was our English.
yeah, it was
Fucking
not. It had nothing to do with
yeah.
what we
No,
talked.
no, no, no. It was because we speak so damn bad English, so they were ashamed to give us their camera. But hey,
Well,
actually, even I'm gonna say, bring it on. Bring any hate on. We're gonna use it as our advantage.
no. Not just on advantage, but that's actually funny. If you bring our hate, if you bring love, we both accept it
Yeah,
because the fact this is life.
yeah,
This, if we do things to pleasure everyone,
no.
then we are doing disingenuous things.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that we're supposed to do it for the pleasing of people. Obviously, that's impossible. We
Yeah,
cannot please everyone. But like, my point is that if there's gonna be hate, we can always turn to advantage. But it is sometimes a bit weird to say like, you could
yeah,
say a lot.
but
You could say a lot of things about different things, and then you're gonna pick up that one thing. What?
let's be honest. There's always those comments.
Yeah,
There's always will be those comments,
yeah,
even
that's true.
if we have done perfectly.
Mm.
Even I'm gonna give the last example. I
Mm.
saw it this morning, and then I believe that we are
Oh yeah,
done.
oh yeah.
This morning, I saw a video where a woman took took her child in the grocery shopping in the car. He was a little boy. Nothing wrong with that, right? What was wrong with that was that child was only with a diaper and with a trash bag. He had nothing else. Think about it, in a cold aisle of like frozen fruits and all that place.
Mm.
She was going with that cart. The child was in that cart and he was shivering from the coldness when he was in that cart in that aisle.
Mm. Oh my. God bless that.
That video was published. Even that video was published, and in that video,
Hmm.
they called the police and sent that woman to jail.
Yes.
Justifiably. Even in that comment, there were people who said, "How did you dare call the cops on her?"
Oh.
Comments, think about it. Like in the comments, there were people who actually, maybe actually or not, I don't know, but they believed that what they did was bad because they recorded it, they called the cops came, did their job, took her out. That child doesn't need to suffer anymore
Mm.
from that bullshit ass bad parenting, by the way, and bad human being. And some people commented that, oh, how dare you call police. So there is always someone or somebody who will comment on some things that will make you just laugh or look at them and ask yourself, where are you living?
Yes. And we really need to reconsider this podcasting since the English is so bad.
Are you sure, bro?
But yeah. Basically, that's
Me no speak
it is what it
English.
is. It is what it is. But
Me no speak English.
we speak. Oh my!
Very
Now
bad,
it's
very
very
bad
very bad
English.
English.
Very bad English.
Like think about it. We have been talking for 1 hour, and now in the end, oh, en mä osaa. Liian vaikea. 10 jaksoa melkein tässä takana.
Damn, boy,
No more.
that's crazy. But yeah,
No more. Yeah, but actually, one last question, like
okay, let's go.
to your audience, what do you think? Like, we have been hearing here and there that people has been asking us about us opening a Spotify account. What do you think? Like, how would you be interested in that?
Yeah, give us your thoughts, and we would be more than happy to give, even in a Spotify, this version, because if people want to watch this, and we know that we are making content in very substance driven places where we are talking about things that are very right now, I would say, very actual things,
Mm,
and are things that are not maybe discussed in this kind of way.
mm,
That okay, there's a humor there, but then also we have that substance that we are
mm,
talking about,
mm,
like, hey, this is the actual thing.
mm,
And we are talking about from experience. Don't get me wrong. This is not things that we just came up and read and all that. No, these are many things that are we have experienced, me and him, in both our lives. We have experienced this, and we bring guys here, or girls, from a place where they have experienced things.
mm,
That's why we have opened this podcast. And if you're interested, give us your thoughts. We would be more than happy to
mm.
also put this on the Spotify.
Yes, absolutely.
I would think we're done.
Yes, we're done.
Let's
Bye.
go.